I in tournament today is Caio Machado, who fights Brendson Ribeiro at UFC Edmonton. That fight is on November 2nd. So, Kyle, we obviously got to start here. You look completely like a different person from the last time I taught you. 205 pounds is on the horizon, only a couple weeks away. Tell me about how you made the decision to go down to light heavyweight.
So light heavyweight's been a old conversation for me and my team since before I joined the UFC. Right after I got the BFL belt, I was already planning to do it, but was kind of around the same time COVID hit, so I had a hard time to find light heavyweights in Canada. Then I got a little bit of a streak at heavyweight, and I just started. Then I just saw the path to get to the UFC as a heavyweight instead of a light heavyweight. I would have to take a step back. So that's why we stay over there. But light heavyweight's been on the plans for a while. And after my last two fights, I felt that both were tight decisions. I felt one of those fights either way, but the biggest thing that I felt I had a disadvantage, and both fights were the size. So I decided instead of being a smaller heavyweight, I'll be a big light heavyweight and try to dominate on the weight.
I like that. Now, when you approach the UFC with this as a concept, like I want to be a 205er, were they originally receptive to the idea? They liked the idea of you moving down?
So yes, right away it was kind of a mutual conversation. Was I think was I want to say May, early June. I got offered to fight Junior Taka in the UFC Australia in August, but I was already with my move plan here to Brazil that would have ended up like colliding with the schedule, and I was already thinking about heavyweight. So kind of when I said no to the fight, they said, "Oh, that would be a good fight," but like the other option we have for you is like if you want to wait a little bit longer, why don't you go 205? And I said, "Oh, that would be my next point in conversation." So kind of we were both thinking the same thing.
Well, that's great to hear, obviously. Now, tell me about the journey yourself because, just saying, hey, I want to go down because, it's better for me and they like the idea. That's one step. But also, then there's the physical work that comes into being, a 200, 245, 250 pound guy down to 205 pounds. So, what has the journey been like for you in terms of trying to shed that weight?
Honestly, so I haven't been to the worst part. It's going to be the cut next week. That's something that's new for me, and kind of what I think is going to be the what worries me the most about this whole process. But this is my natural weight. I was overeating, overworking to stay around 250 pounds, and I was still like small for a heavyweight. If you see before I got into the UFC, my best performance was around 230 pounds, 235. So that's where I should be. So it pretty much the weight went down really easily. I had just to adjust my diet, just a little bit on the training, and put a little bit more cardio. But once I started hitting the weight and doing the work and cut down the diet, the weight just came off. And I moved to Brazil. I'm a little bit closer to my strength conditioning training right now, and that helped a lot as well.
And so, how do you feel physically in all of this? Because I've heard people say that they're dropping that weight, they feel like they got more energy, or they feel like they're faster. Like, what is it for you down at not yet to 205, but on your way to 205? How do you feel physically?
Yeah, like as I said before, my best performance, the times I felt better in the cage was fighting around 230 pounds, 235. That's where I feel more explosive. I felt like going a little bit heavier as a heavyweight. I lost a little bit of the explosion and the mobility that was my selling point, my whole my whole my specialty in the game in that division. And now a little bit lighter, I have that again. I got a more explosion. I've been working on the hitting the gym, changing my weight training so I'm stronger, even being lighter. Uh, the weight suited me very well, and I should be a light heavyweight a while back.
Well, that's great to hear as well. Now, you mentioned a couple of times in here training down in Brazil. I know originally part of the whole system of going up to Canada is because that's where your family is now, and you're a Canadian citizen now. Is it hard for you to be away from Canada now and back closer to your original home? Is it easier? Like, to tell me a little bit about what went into that decision.
So I know we'll feel will be easier the second I get in Edmonton and it's gonna be super cold while it's warm here. Then I'll make sure I will know it's nicer in Brazil. But jokes aside, uh, it's been a process. I've been working for a while. I just got my citizenship in Canada, and for all the laws I have to Canada, to the Canadian fans, to the Canadian people. I'm Canadian myself now. My family and I, we had a conversation. We felt that be around more family was important. I had a little bit of hard time finding training partners in Canada as well. Like Vancouver, it's not Canada in general is not a place for big guys. Overall, the population size was a little bit small. I was having to go to Vegas to get training, so a little bit on the financials here. The cost of living is a little bit lower. I am closer to my family. I have a 3-year-old son, and just staying in Canada was just my wife and I was being too much for her with all my traveling. So it was the first family and second on training. I knew I would have a great support team here. That I'm back with the team. I started training as a kid, so that's home for me either way. I'm happy right now. I miss my team back in Canada, but I'm just in a different home right now.
Well, that's good to hear too. So, does this mean that this is more of a permanent change? Like, we're going to see training camps out of Brazil from here on out for you?
100%. I move with the entire family right now. Just left a couple winter coats behind because we do not need those here. And, and the idea is staying in Brazil for a little while, stay close to the family, raise my kid over here. We feel that that's the move for the next couple of years.
Well, that's awesome to hear. Now, I do have to ask then, because like you're going to fight in Canada as a Canadian citizen, but now training out of Brazil. Like, that's obviously a lot of mixed reactions. But are you excited to get to fight inside of Canada?
100%. I did most of my career in Canada. Besides my 3 fights, with my contender, my 2 previous UFC fights, I did my entire career there. I came from Canadian MMA. I own a lot to Canadian MMA. I'm Canadian, so I'm very proud to support the North over there, to be able to do my arena debut, let's first say, in Canada in front of my all my fans, all my people there. Even I'm living here, I'm always taking Canada with me, and I got the honor to be the highest Canadian on the card. So I just excited to go over there and make my people in North proud.
I dig it. I dig it. Now let's talk about the fight itself. You're fighting Brendson Ribeiro, a guy who is kind of known for just being like a big power puncher, a guy who wants to go in there and knock your block off. What are sort of your thoughts on how you match up with him stylistically?
So Brendson is, as I said, he is his strategy is like everything he throws is to knock you out, to take you down. He wanted to take your head off with everything every time he touches you. I'm more a strategy guy. I'm touch and move around. I seen he gassed a little bit in his last fight. He have a hard time going distance. So then I'm no, especially right now that I'm lighter, I have no problem with my cardio. And let's see if I can take a punch from a guy that's 230. I just took a lot of punches from Danton Mays that's way bigger than him. So I'm pretty sure I can take a couple from Brendson. And once my heavyweight hands hit a light heavyweight guy, it's gonna be lights out. And if not, I know I have a bigger tank.
Well, you led me pretty much perfectly into my last question. Then I always like to end these things with a prediction. So tell me, how's this one end at UFC Edmonton on November 2nd?
Second round KO. The second he start getting out and make a mistake, I'm gonna touch him. Like I hit like a heavyweight. He's being a little bit lighter. I'm used to get punched by guys way bigger than him. I'm just ready to get a knockout, get the bonus, and go home with a win.
All right. Well, you heard it here first, folks. This has been Caio Machado, who fights Brendson Ribeiro at UFC Edmonton. Once again, that fight, November 2nd. Kyle, thank you so much for the time. I really appreciate it.
I just don't mind any next time.